So welcome to hashtag Toe to Toe. I'm Andy Clarke, and joining me this week is Anthony $1 Million Crolla, and we're in the gym. We're in Bolton. This is a home to Joe Gallagher's stable of fighters. Anthony's just been ticking over today.
Yes.
Callum Smith, Liam Smith in as well, Hosea Burton, Sam Hyde, and it's a cracking gym. This it's not as stiflingly hot here today as it normally is.
We've not got the heaters on today. It's warm enough though, isn't it? It's warm enough, but we've not got the heaters on today. They're not needed. But yeah, you know what? It's a proper sweat box.
Usually, when you step through the door, it's like when you get out of an aircraft when you go on holiday. The heat just
that kind of heat. Yeah.
But there's the added bonus feature to this place that I'd kind of forgotten about, so I've not been here for a bit.
Yeah.
Is the playlist here, hands down, is the best.
Yeah.
Any gym I've ever been in. I'd imagine that's Joe Gallagher's.
That's
music.
today. Yeah, we can have a bit of everything here. We can have a bit of that, bit of the golden old. I think it depends what mood Joe's in.
Yeah.
Bit of gangster rap, bit of dance. It all depends who's in at what time, and we get a bit of everything. It's a very versatile playlist.
That was very diplomatic. I'm not absolutely sure that you're convinced by what we were hearing today, but it was definitely for me.
I don't mind a bit of ABBA.
So, two questions for you,
yes.
Unsurprisingly. So, first one from Ruiz. What was your game plan for the Lomachenko fight? Did you see any weaknesses?
Yes. Ruiz, the game plan was to try and box for the first 3-4 rounds, try and get Lomachenko to overcommit a little bit, to start taking more chances, and then that would allow me, I would make it easier to get my shots off. We thought Pedraza had success doing that, but then I was going to look to be a lot more aggressive, and that's one thing, it kills me sometimes when I think, should have I just tried to put it on him? But then, being honest, I might have just walked onto shots a lot earlier. It's and that's how it is. Did I see any weaknesses? Honestly, no, I didn't. I didn't land enough to see that. I remember landing one half decent shot, and I think it was probably the worst thing I could have done because he went through the gears a little bit then.
So these next two we can kind of combine. One from Brad and one from Mark. Brad's is what was it like in there fighting Lomachenko, and what made it so hard?
Do you know what? I've been in boxing 20 years or something like that, and I've been in with some class fighters both in the ring on fight night and also sparring, and even in the second Linares fight where I got beat well, and I think that was sort of the first time in my career where I got beat, really convincing. I still felt comfortable going forward, trying to get my shots off, even though it was, a lot was coming back my way. When Lomachenko went through the gears, it was almost it was a horrible feeling where it was a bit like, I can't really do out here. I've got to wait for him to stop and then try and do something, because it's not that I can't go with him because I'm not trained hard enough for all like that. It was just, I couldn't live with him, and it's, sometimes you've just got to be brutally honest, and, he was levels above, and it was that good, the way he varies up the power of his shots, the speed of his shots, his positioning, always very well balanced, a very, very complete fighter.
Just one from me on that. At the end of the third round, it kind of looked to me like the referee did stop it and then changed his mind when you kind of gave him the reaction that you gave him. And
genuinely, I was fine. I literally just couldn't get anything off. I know he was going through the gears a bit, and I would have been so disappointed if it would have got stopped then, because I felt like I didn't really get the chance to have a go. People said, do you wish you would have got stopped then and then you wouldn't have got knocked out? And it was like, no, I would much rather have gone out face first, as it was, than to be stopped on the third. And it wasn't like I wasn't having a go first, second or third. It was just that difficult. It was just that difficult, and I realised, before the fight, and you're watching some fights, and you always say no man's invincible or all like that, and I think you train so hard, so with that training hard, you start to believe in yourself, and I genuinely did. But then, obviously, not long after that first bell, and he started going through the gears, then sort of, just how tough the challenge was hit me.
I mean, it's It's always a difficult decision, for a referee and a trainer. When do you stop a fight? When do you not stop a fight? And without wishing to harp on it, what was interesting about it was that it was Jack Ruiz, wasn't it?
Yeah, good
and he
guy.
got praised to the heavens for giving
Jack,
Fury
Jack
the chance
Ruiz
to get up.
I think he's a fantastic
and
referee. For me, and
you can't win, can you?
And no, but that's not the case. I mean, he's a fantastic referee, and I believe he made the right decision. Like I said, when he was speaking, there was nothing. I was caught in a bit of a blitz, but I was never hurt before. Do you know, at the end of round 3, there's no way I was hurting anyway. It's a world title fight at the end of the day, and even the knockout looked so much worse than it actually was. I think you see on the ref cam, you see Jack Ruiz turns me over, and I'm saying to him, I'm going, I'm fine. And he knew us. He says, I know you are, but I just, obviously, prides it. I was fine. I was actually, I thought it sounds bad. I was embarrassed, thinking, this doesn't look good. Do you know, like as it was happening, I've said it before in interviews, like I was literally laid face down, thinking, oh my God, like, and I couldn't move, and that was it. I was just thinking, trying to move, but I couldn't. It's like, you saw The Wolf of Wall Street, haven't you?
Yeah.
Where DiCaprio has one of those pills or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like.
He's trying to answer the telephone.
That's how I felt, and I knew exactly what was going on in my head. But yeah, probably not the best comparison, but it was very similar, I imagine.
No, I think people will connect with that one. If you've seen the film, then you'll know exactly what he's talking about.
And that's it.
So Luke Campbell looks like he's going to be fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. This is from Brooke. How do you rate his chances? I mean, if he were to call you up, I don't think this happens in boxing, but if he were to call you up and ask you what you learned.
I probably wouldn't be the best person to call up, would have been honest. But yeah, no. If he did, if he said, what do you think I should do? If he did say that, I think me and Luke are very, very different stylistically. We probably couldn't be further apart. I think Luke's more suited stylistically to give Lomachenko a better fight. World class amateur, Olympic gold medalist, fantastic amateur. I believe, and this is what I think. I think Shane's a fantastic trainer, and what he'll have him doing, I believe he'll be looking to keep it long, use those advantages. It just, for me, it all depends just how aggressive Loma comes out, how aggressive Lomachenko comes out. Is sort of how I see. Before with the fact, if he comes out so aggressive, I think he could get to Luke a lot earlier. But I think he'll look to box, and I think for 4 rounds it'll be pretty cagey, but it'd be good to watch from a pure boxer's point of view. I think it'd be a real chess match at the highest quality. 2 Olympic gold medalists, 2 world-class fighters, and I think Luke will have a little bits of success. He'll look to keep it long. But he's very good at bowling the backhand up. And I think that'd be it, and especially he'd be a lot bigger than Lomachenko, but it's just how long he can keep Lomachenko off and how he closes the distance, and super, super clever. I remember Russ Abner, and this was years before we even thought about, or I thought that there was a chance he was going to fight. He'd had a handful of fights in Lomachenko, and he said to me, Russ wraps the hands in a lot of big... He's in Lomachenko's corner, but a lot of it he's done mine before. And he said, I've never seen anyone like him. He's been around boxing a long time. He says, he can see what a fighter's doing 2-3 moves ahead of anyone else. It's like he sees the fight in slow-mo. Matrix is a great nickname for him, isn't it? And he said, and I see it like with the shot of me, how he set me up. When you watch it back, when you're in there, it's a little bit different, but he reads a fight so well, so clever. And it just, obviously Luke's going to be looking and Shane not to let him see any kind of pattern. It's for him to have success.
So we'll leave Lomachenko there. I think you probably talked about him enough, to be honest. So the next one is from Thailand. This is always a good one. If you could fight one person from the past, who would it be?
Good question. It's, I think if... I'm a massive Sugar Ray Leonard fan. I've met him, and what a guy. So it'd be either... No, it'd be Roberto Duran, one of the greatest lightweights ever, and it'd be a painful experience, but I'd love to share the ring with one of the greatest lightweights ever, or arguably the greatest lightweight ever. It's hard to say, isn't it? It's.
I tell you what it's always long been one of my fantasy matchups because I know that he's one of your favourites.
Yeah.
Alexis Arguello
yeah.
against Roberto Duran.
Oh,
and that
mate,
almost happened.
wow.
Like they missed each other
I
by
know.
not far. Duran moved out, didn't he, as Arguello was moving up?
Yeah.
That would have been unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable
you know what that is? You know, you saying that is like one fantasy match. That'd be in the top few of all I could ever make if it was promoter.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
From Cal, what's been your favourite fight of your career?
Favourite fight of my career would be the world title defence, I think. Yeah, the world title defence, because a bit of underdog going into it, going into my hometown as defending world champion, proving a lot of people wrong, and the game plan sort of going to perfection. I'd say that's been my favourite fight in my career, and it wasn't actually that hard of a fight. I mean, I had to take a lot of shots on arms and gloves, but I was pretty fresh a day or two after. I wasn't the need where I thought I need rest for a week or out like that. So I'd probably say that, yeah.
It seems to be one of those nights where everything just kind of went right.
Yeah.
You seem to have the plan, everything seemed to go according to plan, and then you put him away with that devastating body shot. And as you say, people were... He was a dangerous fighter, Pedraza.
Yeah, he was.
No
he
doubt
was.
about
And obviously, he sort of ended the career of Kevin Mitchell. And there's a lot of people who thought I was going to swerve him. So I'd say it was very satisfying as well. It's not like, you know, I don't look online for people who give you stick or like that, but there's a lot of people who thought I was going to swerve him or give me very little chance. So I think it always makes it better I remember winning the British title and the punch that I landed to win that, I'd been working on with Joe. That was very sweet. That was a very proud moment again. And I think when a plan comes together, it makes it all the sweeter.
So from Josh, will you fight again or go into coaching full time?
Yeah, I want to fight again. I think I'll have one more. I've had a bit of time out thinking and, you know, what to do, and I was always pretty sure I was going to go out with one more fight, hopefully in Manchester. And yeah, and then I've got to learn to sort of let go. And do I believe that I compete at world level? Yes, I do. You know, I shot last November. Dow Jordan's a world-rated fighter. He's in nearly all the governing bodies, top 10. I got home against a hard fight against him. So I believe that, I think. But then I've got to be realistic, and I banged on about so much about staying in boxing too long. And, you know, if I fight later in the year against a decent opponent, get the win, and then I think, you know what, I'll have one last go of trying to get a world title again. And sometimes it's just a harsh truth where I don't see Lomachenko moving up again. So no time soon is he giving up those belts, and at the same, me and Lomachenko is never going to happen again. And being realistic, it's a very, very hard task as well. Do you know? So it's like one of them. What do we hang around? Do we hang around to try and get a big money fight? But I just wouldn't like to go out the way I did if that was my last fight. And I know I've spoke about knowledgeable people and saying he's one of the all-time greats, so it's no shame in that. And I suppose there's not, but I believe I'll have one more fight later in the year in Manchester, and then, like I say, I'll look to Clarke, because that's what I was getting at before. If you carry on there and then you think I'll have another assault, I could be boxing for another 2 years, eliminators, final eliminators.
That's always the danger, isn't
it?
And
that's the danger, and it's just sort of, I've just got to get used to the fact now of accepting that it can't go on forever, and it's hard. I'm in the gym today with the lads. I didn't do a lot, but it's a buzz to be back in with him and around him, and that's what you miss so much. And I've been helping train a lad, and I've got way more involved than I thought, young Dylan Evans, but I'm enjoying it. I think that helps me a bit as well. If I didn't have that, then I would have struggled a lot more. I would have been back in the gym a lot sooner. But yeah, the answer to the question is, the plan is, one more later in the year.
It is really difficult. It's really difficult, and as someone who's watched you for a long time and seen you achieve all your goals, and you've done that, you have done that, and that's what boxing is about.
And that's why I've got to be thankful. And
you've done it, and an occasion fight to say goodbye? I think that'd be great. I think everybody would feel that you deserved that.
Nah, it's nice, like what people say, and I'm pretty sure that's what will happen. You know, a decent fight later in the year at the arena or something like would be the ideal situation. We'll see, but no, I know I'm going to miss it and find it very hard without it.
So this is quite similar to the one from Cal. This is from Boxing Digital. What was the best night of your career? Might not necessarily. Actually, no, it's probably not.
Yeah.
The same fight, is it?
The best night of my career. The best night of my career is, I suppose you've got to say, achieving the dream of being a world champion. You know, a dream that you've had for so many years. But then also, I remember when I was fighting Gavin Ruiz, I was in the away corner that night, although it was in Bolton, and winning that night was the difference. Winning and losing that night was the difference in. I had a baby on the way.
That was a massive fight for you.
It was huge.
I remember after you lost to Derry Matthews, you went into prize fights.
Yes.
That fight against Kieran Farrell was huge.
Yeah.
And then
we drew
Gavin
with Derry.
Ruiz I
drew with Derry in the rematch, and then it was Gavin Ruiz, and that was. I knew that was the thing of win that fight. You might have a contract with Matchroom, and can put a deposit down on the house for me, Mrs. and my little boy. Don't win that, and then I probably might not have been a full-time professional, and you don't know what would have happened. I might have worked, I might have started earning a wage and thinking, that's more important, I've got a child on the way. So I could argue that it's a toss-up between winning the world title and that, because that was just a huge, huge night for me, for how it shaped the rest of my life. Yeah,
absolutely. So just to bring the mood down a bit,
yes.
What do you think of Manchester United at the moment? That's from Eri.
In tough times. It's I don't believe it's going to be fixed in the next season or two. I think it's going to take a few years to put it right, and hopefully have the success that he had when I was growing up. When we was having growing up, but I think we've got to deal with that. I think all clubs go through that kind of period. If you look at Liverpool and stuff like that, how it took them years to get it right. Hopefully it doesn't take us as long as them. But I think it's going to be another tough season. But I think Ole's the right man for it, and in time, like you say, it'll pay off, and I think he gets what Manchester United's about. So I'm excited for the new season, just to see how the new players are going to settle in. But I do think it's going to be a tough one.
If you heard a phone going off in the background there, that was mine. So, true professional, didn't put it on silent. On to one from another viewer called Cal. Who will win in the AJ versus Ruiz rematch? I can't believe this is the first time someone's asked you this.
Yeah,
the last few weeks.
I've been asked it a few hundred times, and it's hard. I mean, obviously, almost everyone's rooting for AJ, but I believe I was surprised on the night in New York. Like, there's 90% of people they're saying, AJ will get him back in the UK later in the year. We'll get him back in the UK later in the year, and he'll put it right. And I was thinking, we must have just watched a different fight. Because I know,
almost every pro I've spoken to says that an immediate rematch in pure boxing terms, they understand the business side, but you all say in pure boxing terms, it's a bad fight.
Yeah, and I do believe that for AJ. It's like there's huge pressure on him. I know that he's heavyweight champion of the world, or was heavyweight champion of the world, so there's always going to be huge pressure on him. It's you're not seeing out like it sort of since Ricky Hatton, like whereas the spects every time you've had thousands of people at the weigh-in, stuff like that. But to say that, Ruiz, this is how hindsight's a great thing, but I think as Ruiz, he's lost once out of around 33 fights to Joseph Parker. Him and AJ had a close-ish fight. AJ certainly won, but it wasn't a walk in the park. Andy Ruiz probably could have got the decision over in New Zealand against him. Went to the Olympics. Is it that much of a shock? And I think people just look at the bodies, and that's why it's so much of a shock. It's a tough fight, and I'm hoping, like AJ, just turn it around. But it's a tough fight. Ruiz is going to have in his head, I'm going to tuck up, be nice and tight for 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and then all these memories are going to haunt AJ, and that's what he's going to be thinking in his head. So it's interesting. It's so interesting to see how the rematch goes. I would rather him have another fight first, but we'll see.
That's what every professional I've spoken to says, but they all also know that he's not going to have another fight first.
Yeah, and I respect that. I respect that massively as well. That the fact that he's getting straight back in there with him, you can't have nothing but respect for Anthony Joshua for that. And you've seen it in the way he handled himself after the loss. He handled himself very well.
It's just a coincidence, but every time I turn on the TV at the minute, I seem to see that British Airways advert where Olivia Colman clubbers him in the head with some pretty solid-looking hand luggage, and he says, it's when you get knocked down, you need to dust yourself off. And it's just so ironic, isn't it? Because just every time I turn the television on,
it's there, and you've got to think as well. It might, in a way, he's lost of carrying the O. Does it relieve a bit of pressure at the same time? I don't know, but I do believe that the rematch will be very tough. You're fighting a Ruiz who's going to be better prepared. I know he'd boxed, but he took it at relatively short notice, didn't he? So that'd be interesting.
So I gave you a heads up about this one because I think it's quite unfair to spring these on people. This is from Lacey, top 5 British fighters.
Yeah,
is he still in it, in the top 5, Joshua? That's one question.
Yeah, you could argue, you know what I mean, that he is. It depends, how you see it. It's so hard, putting a top 5 together. I mean,
you've got one here, haven't you?
Yes, Liam Smith. No, listen, Liam, you could argue top 5.
Well, yeah, you could have it. There's many. But no,
Callum certainly put in. Josh Taylor certainly put in. And then, but there's a lot of fighters so underrated. Like, I think the Edwards brothers are great. The Yafais, Carl, he's one of the longest reigning world champions. He is the longest reigning world champion. Tyson, you've got to put him in. Josh Warrington, you've got to put in. You've got to put Josh Warrington in.
It is hard. Billy Joe Saunders.
It's so hard,
I know
Billy
he's
Joe.
Not been great recently, but he's still very good.
He's been around, he's undefeated for a long time. He's got some great names on his record. It's so hard to put a top 5. It's.
I still really like Frampton.
Frampton's a class act. It's just so hard, to go through like that, and things can change. Things can change in the space of a fight. You've got to. It's tough. Some of the names I've just mentioned there, but I don't. But in any particular, I've missed some out as well. I know for a fact I've missed some out as well. But British boxing's in a great place at the minute, and I think so many people's top 5 will be different.
So I'll save Rahul's for last. So this one's from me.
Yeah.
What was it like? The Manchester boxing decade of 2000 to 2010, which took you from being a kid to being dreaming, to being English champion, I think, by 2010. Because with that decade, around the gyms, Hatton, Jamie Moore, Brody, Gomez, Farnell, plenty of others, massive characters, a lot of chaos and
madness.
And myth.
I think a lot of the shows actually called Mad for It, and Mad for It. That was what they used to call the bills with Ricky on, and it was an amazing time. And you mentioned about a dream, but that gave me a dream. Them times allowed me sort of to have that dream, and obviously later on in life that dream come true, thankfully. But it was just a great time, the fighters you mentioned there. It's brilliant, and I think Manchester boxing's in a great place at the minute with some of the lads coming through. But I don't know if that time will ever happen ever again. And like I said, I was a young lad, sort of going to the arena, saving up pocket money or a birthday present. There's a ticket to go and watch the boxing. But it was a brilliant time. That every young amateur, the shows, you'd have professionals there, and it was a great time sort of to be around. You mentioned then Michael Broder. He deserves so much more credit for what. Oh, he was brilliant. And honestly, Gomez as well. I boxed the shell of Michael, but it happened. But Michael Broder is one of the best fighters ever to come out of Manchester, and certainly one of the best British fighters never to win a world title. I was there that night at the Bowlers. He should have got the decision there that night when he fought in Jinchi, but certainly against Willie Yorin, I thought he was very unlucky, as did most people. Gomez, what a character, and do you know, I think Michael will admit himself, if his life wasn't as crazy as what it was, we might have seen him lift the world title as well. I think in those, Joel, the fighters that you've mentioned there, the only shame is that I believe more than one of them should have been a world champion.
I think the fact that he took the name Gomez and what happened with that just quickly, I think that kind of, for me, just encapsulated the whole thing almost, because he took that name because he loved Wilfredo Gomez.
Yes, yeah.
His fans latched onto Gomez, all started
The
wearing sombreros and calling him the Manchester Mexican.
Yes,
but Gomez is Puerto Rican. And
yes,
it just, the whole thing just kind of didn't make sense. You know,
it made absolutely no sense, but it made sense.
Yeah, it did. So this is the last one from Rahul. Would you rather fight a bear-sized chicken or 10 chicken-sized bears? I don't know who vets these, but I bet you've never been asked that before.
I've not, no.
A bear-sized chicken or 10 chicken-sized bears? I don't know what the Board of Control would think about this.
Yeah, I don't know whether they'd approve it.
Robert Smith would pretty dim view of that one, I'd have thought.
I don't think he'd allow it. I think we'd have to do it on a different licence, but I'd rather fight the one bear-sized chicken. It might be a little bit easier. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You've heard it here first. Thanks very, very much
for
having
us.
It's always really good fun. Thanks to Joe as well for having us down at the gym. It's always great to come here. And thanks for watching. We will be back with the podcast later on, so make sure you give that a listen.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.